Stein, Papier.
Schere, Stein, Papier. Was heißt das jetzt, wenn ich gewinne?
Weiß ich nicht, das haben wir nicht abgemacht. So, you only found it because you didn't want to work in nursing anymore.
Maybe. I don't know, what do you say?
No, I'd say that's not true. I mean, before I found it, I didn't work as a nurse. And still, I'd say that wouldn't be bad if you still try to improve nursing and make things better.
Well, I didn't work in nursing per se myself as well, but I worked in a healthcare facility, and I would say you're kind of like in a cage. You got somebody on the top telling you exactly what you gotta do, and you can only kind of do mistakes, and sometimes you have some nice patients who will tell you, okay, you're a nice person, thank you for doing something valuable. And then in the other moment you have like a boss who's basically shitting down on you, and you kind of feel stuck like in a cage. And so I would say I'm definitely not missing that part, being stuck in a cage and somebody shit on top of me. I do sometimes miss patients, patients who say like, hey, you were actually able to change my life. I do hope that with our technology as founders, we do still influence the lives of people. Unfortunately, nobody shakes your hand and says like, good job today. So you gotta do that for yourself. But yeah, so that's my take on.
Yeah. Okay, it's your turn.
Next one. So let's see, what do I have? Nurses are always in a bad mood.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's not true. Of course not. I think there are some influencers who make really funny stuff about like cliches of nurses, and there are some like grumpy or more grumpy nurses. But as far as I remember, when I was a nursing student, I always liked them because they seemed to be a bit like angry, but in the end they were most of the time like really heartwarming people, and they always did like a really, really good job. And and I mean, if you start working at 6 a.m., you have to get up at 5 a.m. It's all right not to have the best mood always.
Yeah, and I also disagree. Well, partially I agree and I disagree, because both of us, we know the nurses with the bad mood, but then you also have like some really funny and some heartwarming nurses, and then when you see somehow how some of your colleagues, some nurses, how they interact with patients, and then you see a smile on the face of a patient, etc. So I wouldn't say they always have a bad mood, but there is something about the cliche, and maybe it's about waking up, as you said, at 5 or 4 a.m. But maybe it's just about the working conditions that make you, some of them, miserable.
I also met some founders with bad mood.
Yeah. Next one?
Next one. It's my turn. Okay. Oh. Nurses live Grey's Anatomy. There's always something happening among nurses and doctors.
True. Well, I wouldn't say always, but if you work in a hospital, you hear all of those rumors, and you know a lot of stories from colleagues that not only nurses with their colleagues, yes, but also between medical doctors to nurses, between nurses to nurses, or medical doctors to medical doctors. So I think a lot of things that you see in Grey's Anatomy might be true. Maybe less romantic, but I mean, if you stay in a hospital for most of your life, you work in a hospital for, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 hours a week or something. It's difficult to find somebody outside to date. So.
That's funny. I was talking about that with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I think that's like the same as in other jobs. Mm-hmm. So, and well, yeah, I heard a few stories during my time in the hospital, and like when there is like this 1 year or once in a year you have like this big party for your company or your hospital, this was always like really going crazy. But you have that in different in other companies as well, I'd say. So I wouldn't really agree with that, to be honest.
Next one.
It's your turn. Sorry,
my turn.
I'm curious.
Okay, let's see, what prejudice do we have now? Digital health assistants are just gimmicks.
No. This is like, I mean, depends if they're like really useful, you know? For example, what you guys doing with Dexter, I think, is way more than a gimmick. It's a really, really useful assistant, but there are for sure some just gimmicks. But in general, I wouldn't agree. What do you think?
Well, obviously I have to say no, because, well, we are building a digital health assistant, so obviously I have to say no, but I do see a point in the sense that maybe a lot of people, well, outside of a hospital, but also inside of a healthcare facility might think that way, because there are so many things that are broken and that need to be fixed, and then maybe you might be thinking like, I don't need some computer system to work. I don't have any people working in this facility. The processes are trash and there's so much broken, and the least thing that I, thinking of somebody else, would develop might be a digital health assistant. There are millions of problems to be solved, but well, yeah, obviously I have to disagree, because that is our approach to solve the underlying problems.
Yeah, nothing to add.